Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ideanthro. Now today, I've been really fortunate in that the guys from Renew Solutions, so Charlie here, has been letting me tag along while they've been out inspecting some GPTs, some gross pollutant traps. And we're out here at a Rockler Cleansor, and just a few minutes ago, Charlie was pointing out to me a few things about how this system, it's like when they're inspecting them, they're going to look for defects, look for things that might be going to cause problems with the system. And Charlie was pointing out to me with this system that's actually put together really well. And you pointed out a few things to me that you were looking for there. And so this video, we're just going to share those couple of things that you might look for in an inspection.
Yeah, Jack.
Over to you.
Yeah, Jack. Well, look, first thing we're looking at here is the access covers, okay? So the access covers are fairly in good condition. As you can see, they're quite aligned. There's a small tripping hazard between the sump chamber access cover and the actual capture silo cover or the unit cover, but look, it's quite negligible. The lids, look, they are awkward to lift, being solid concrete, but they're sitting in quite nicely. Obviously, the first thing I'm going to look at when opening the lid, okay, I'm going to have a look at the seals, the joins between the precast concrete walls. Okay. Now, looking inside here, we can actually see that those walls or those riser stacks are quite in a line. There's a little bit of sealant between them, but that's obviously pushed out.
So this unit's put together with a series of concrete cylinders stacked on top that need to be sealed.
Correct.
That's what you're talking about there?
Riser sections, correct. So you've got your basic sump in the bottom, then you've got a riser section, middle section, and then obviously an upper section. Now, obviously that would depend on the size of the GPT,
size, depth,
etc., etc.
Yep.
So looking inside, we can see that there's quite a good alignment with the stacks of the precast concrete and the riser sections. I then look at the opening of the chute where the weir, the inlet area is actually entering the chamber, the capture silo chamber.
Okay.
The weir is actually in a line with the entry point in the side of the actual chamber. Okay. So there's a nice fit there. There's no gaps around the weir on either side of the weir. There's no gaps between the join. There's actually, you can see at the bottom of the weir, there's actually a sealant that's been applied. So that's quite good. It's obviously you allow for some waterproofing. Also, any joining is been smoothed over. So look, it allows for less friction on water and less ponding or any ponding of water.
So in terms of that inlet lining up, so we said just before this system's constructed of like a series of concrete cylinders stacked on top.
Yep.
So clearly, then the alignment of the pipe that's coming in is set.
Yes.
But a contractor could theoretically place one of those concrete pieces, a few degrees out of alignment, and then just stuff doesn't quite fit together. The stormwater doesn't quite go where it should. Correct.
Yep. And then what you risk is the fact that you would risk gaps which would allow for premature bypass or bypass of pollutant loads. Okay. Yep. Also, you're restricting water flow that way if there's non-alignment. So if the weir was out of whack and there was a gap behind the weir, you would say you may allow for premature bypass of water behind the weir, through that gap. And obviously, therefore, pollutants can escape and bypass around the capture basket. Also, ponding or hydraulic issues can be affected by any out of alignment with, say, a wall was constricting the flow. You can get some hydraulic issues from that. The next thing we look at is the basket. Now, the basket in this being the entire perimeter of the capture silo is actually sitting in quite nicely and level. We look for any gaps around the basket. It sits in alignment with the silo. In this one, it's sitting quite nicely. It's been placed in very evenly, and there is a slight gap between the bottom of the inlet chute and the edge of the basket. It's very minimal. The only thing that during low flows is going to be really getting in there is sediment loads, which is okay because below that basket is the entry, is the floor which enters into your sump. So there's a sump to the side, offset from the bottom of the capture silo, beneath the basket, and that flows into the sump. So any sediment loads will simply flow to the sump anyhow.
Yeah, so you're looking with the basket really going, there might be tiny little gaps.
Tiny gaps,
that's okay.
But negligible.
You're checking there's no big gaps that are getting out litter and debris and that sort of stuff.
Correct, exactly. Obviously, we've inspected the basket previously with while the water was obviously drained, and we look for any tears in the screen of the basket, any loose bolting or any other corrosion or anything of that matter. This screen is in very good nick. It's obviously stainless, so it should last a while anyway.
Yep.
And as I said, it's sitting nicely. It's sitting off the floor quite evenly. The floor is tapered towards an opening that leads into the sump.
Yep.
And obviously we've just made sure that that is actually clear. And so the basket has been lifted out. The area below the basket has been high pressure hosed or cleaned, and there's removed any sediment loads from the base there. So if we obviously look at any other restrictions, we would look at the opening to the sump, okay, to make sure there's no restrictions to that opening as well. So look, looking at that, I can quite clearly, I'm very confident that this unit is going to work fairly effectively.
Cool. Thank you, Charlie.
No problem.
I hope that was useful. I hope that was, some, give you a feel of the sorts of things you might look for. So to recap, you've looked at the seals of the lids.
Correct.
As you've come up. You noticed this little trip hazard because the component
Correct.
that we're closest to is a little lower than the other component. Seals of the
actual the precast components that have been obviously constructed. Inlet alignment, basket alignment,
base.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. And then any restrictions on openings and so forth that may impact on the flows.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Cool, Charlie. Thanks for your
very
time.
much, Jack.
Have a good one. Yeah, let's do the handshake.